The Galactic Council had made their decision. The tribute would be paid, as it had been paid for 3 centuries across a dozen worlds. One sacrifice to appease the beast, and another year of peace would be secured. Lena Rourke stood in the crystalline chamber, her small hands clenched into fists. At 8 years old, she barely reached the waists of the towering Velcorian guards who flanked her. Their 6 eyes blinked in unison, expressionless, as they had been trained. To show emotion before a sacrifice was considered weakness. "The human child is acceptable," High Arbiter Zenkor announced, his translator implant rendering his chittering speech into flat, mechanical words. "Small, tender. The Dracovar will be pleased." The council representatives nodded, some with heads, others with appendages humans had no names for. Humanity's ambassador, a tired-looking woman named Chen, sat with her face buried in her hands. Earth had only joined the galactic community 5 years ago. They were still learning the rules, still learning the cost of survival among the stars. "This is barbaric," Chen whispered, but no one acknowledged her. Lena didn't cry. Her parents had taught her better than that before they died in the colony collapse on Kepler 442b. The foster system had taught her the rest: how to be invisible, how to endure, how to survive. But standing here, chosen by lottery from among the human refugee children scattered across council space, she wondered if survival had finally run out. The doors groaned open, revealing the pit. Dracovar had many names across the galaxy. The Endless Hunger, the Starborn Terror, the Ancient Punishment. He was older than most civilizations. A creature from a time before the Council, before warp drives, before species learned to reach beyond their skies. His scales were black as void space, edged with bioluminescent patterns that pulsed like dying stars. Wings that could eclipse moons lay folded against his serpentine body. His eyes, 3 of them, arranged in a triangle on his massive skull, burned with an intelligence that made empires tremble. The Council had discovered him on a dead world, sleeping among the ruins of a civilization that had made the mistake of waking him. They'd learned through painful trial that he could not be killed, could not be contained, could not be reasoned with in any language they knew, but he could be fed, 1 child per year. Any species. The bargain was simple. Feed him, and he would sleep. Fail to feed him, and he would hunt. Planets would burn. Fleets would fall. The Council had learned this lesson in blood. Lena was pushed forward onto the platform that extended into the pit. Below, she could see Dracovar's massive form coiled in the darkness, those 3 eyes opening slowly, fixed on her. "Go on, human child," Zenkor commanded. "Accept your honor." Lena looked back at the assembled representatives. At Ambassador Chen, who was crying now. At the guards who wouldn't meet her gaze. At the High Arbiter, who viewed her as nothing more than a diplomatic solution. She turned back to the dragon and walked forward. Dracovar watched the tiny creature approach. So small. So fragile. The size of a snack. Really, he'd devoured creatures 1,000 times larger. But there was something about this one. It didn't scream. Every other sacrifice had screamed. The child stopped at the edge of the platform and sat down, legs dangling into the abyss. Then she did something unprecedented in 3 centuries of tributes. She spoke. "I know you can understand me," Lena said quietly. "You're too smart not to. They think you're just a monster. But monsters don't make bargains. Monsters don't choose to sleep." Dracovar's massive head rose from the darkness, bringing his eyes level with the platform. Each eye was larger than the child's entire body. His breath washed over her, hot, smelling of ozone and ancient fire. "I'm supposed to be afraid," Lena continued, her voice steady. "But I've been afraid every day since my parents died. I'm tired of being afraid. So if you're going to eat me, just do it. But if you're not, if there's any part of you that's as tired of this as I am, maybe we can talk." In 3,000 years of existence, Dracovar had been called many things, but no one had ever asked to talk. A low rumble emerged from his chest, not quite a growl, not quite a purr. His consciousness reached out, touching the edges of the child's mind. He expected to find terror, or resignation, or the blessed emptiness of shock. Instead, he found defiance, grief, loneliness, a burning core of something he hadn't felt in any prey before. Kinship. She was alone in a universe that saw her as disposable. So was he. The council waited. Minutes passed. Then an hour. The child should have been consumed in seconds. Yet she remained visible on the platform, sitting beside the dragon's enormous head. "What is happening?" Zenkor demanded. Ambassador Chen stood, hope and confusion warring on her face. I don't know." In the pit, Lena had her small hand pressed against Drakovar's scaled snout. Images flashed between them, not words, but something deeper. She saw his memories. A time before the council, when he had been one of many, when his kind had ruled the spaces between stars. Not as monsters, but as guardians. She saw the plague that had taken them, the loneliness of being the last, the rage at being reduced to a boogeyman for primitive species. He saw her memories too. Loving parents taken too soon. A system that shuffled her like cargo. The desperate hope of finding somewhere she belonged. "You're not a monster," Lena whispered. "You're just lonely." Drakovar's rumble deepened. 3,000 years, and a human child barely older than a hatchling by his reckoning had seen what empires could not. He made his decision. The dragon rose. His full height was staggering, his head reaching the top of the pit chamber. The council representatives scrambled backward, alarms shrieking. Guards raised weapons that everyone knew were useless. But Drakovar didn't attack. He spread his wings and lifted the platform with Lena still on it, raising her to eye level with the council. When he spoke, it was the first time in recorded history that he had used language. No more tributes. His voice was like thunder shaping itself into words, resonating in frequencies that made the chamber vibrate. "This one stays with me. She is Pack. She is family. Try to take her, and you will remember why your ancestors feared the dark between stars." "This is unacceptable," Zenkor sputtered. The bargain is ended. I have been prisoner and executioner long enough." Drakovar's three eyes fixed on the High Arbiter. "Leave this place. Build your empires. But remember, I am no longer alone. I am no longer alone. I am no longer alone." Ambassador Chen stepped forward, tears streaming down her face. "Lena, do you want to go with him?" The little girl, sitting cross-legged on the platform beside a creature of cosmic horror, smiled the first genuine smile she'd had in years. "Yes," she said simply. "I do." The council evacuated the facility within hours. Monitoring satellites watched as Drakovar emerged from the pit for the first time in centuries, the human child riding between his shoulder spikes. They launched into space together, heading toward the unexplored regions beyond council space. The galaxy waited for destruction that never came. Instead, over the following years, reports filtered back. A dragon and a child stopping slave ships, breaking siege blockades, protecting colony worlds from pirates. Humans called them legends. Other species called them myths. The High Arbiter called them a threat to order. But when Lena Rourke turned 18, standing on the bridge of a ship crewed by refugees from a dozen worlds, with Drakovar coiled protectively around the hull, she called it something else: family. And for both a lonely dragon and an orphaned child, that was precisely what they'd found.